Alright, hello world and welcome to the first episode in my newest series, Far Cry 4 What We Know So Far. In this series, we'll be taking a close look at any pieces of information that Ubisoft have released since they announced the newest installment to the Far Cry series earlier this year. We'll be taking a look at many aspects of the game, including but not limited to the storyline, combat systems, character profiles and whatever else we can get our hands on. In this episode, we'll be looking at the storyline of the game, the location, characters and how they complement each other to create a dynamic and logical feel for the game. So let's start with the basic outline of the game. What we know so far is that we have our protagonist, Zakky-Eiya, a native English-speaking Nepalese returning to Kyrat to scatter his mother's ashes as this was her dying wish. He then finds himself involved in a major civil war against the oppressive leader and the game's antagonist, Pagan Min. So first of all, there is a distinct difference in this installment to other installments of the series. Far Cry 4's protagonist, Zakky-Eiya, is actually returning being a native to the location in which the game sets its scene rather than being a foreigner. Now let's take a look at our main location from Far Cry 4, Kyrat. Kyrat is a fictional region in the Himalayas, a mountain range located around about here. Creator director Alex Hutchinson said during a Game Informer podcast that the map size will be similar to Far Cry 3's map, but due to the mountainous ranges, the map will be a lot more dense. Although Kyrat, Kyrat, is a completely fictional location, it could easily have been influenced by the non-fictional term Kirat, K-I-R-A-T. The Kirat are ethnic groups of the Himalayas extending into Nepal, which remember is protagonist AJ's native country. So we all know who we're playing as, and we know our antagonist is too. Let's get past the names though and see who they actually are. Zakky-Eiya, pronounced by the locals of Kyrat as Ajay Gale, is a 20-year-old man born in Kyrat, but after the death of his father, Mohan Gale, at an early age, migrated to the United States with his mother, Ishwari Gale. Until his mother's death, neither Ajay or his mother talked about his father, Kyrat, or the reason they moved to the US. His mother's dying wish was for her ashes to be scattered in Kyrat, their native country. To fulfill his mother's dying wish, he travels to Kyrat, but on his journey he is kidnapped by Pagan Min, the antagonist of Far Cry 4. Now, Pagan Min is our brutal antagonist, but is very different to Far Cry 3's antagonist, Vars. So to give you the best idea of the contrasting differences between Pagan Min and Vars, here's a quote from Far Cry 4's executive producer Dan Hay in an interview with GameSpot. "We want to make sure that it's not always the exact same brand of insanity. Vars was like that guy on the playground who basically comes up to you and says, 'Give me your money.' Pagan Min is different. Pagan Min is that friend that you have that you know is bad for you. Pagan Min has been ruling the country for 20 years and no one refuses his actions and opinions. We are going to be the guy to say no, of course in the form of Ajay Gale. Pagan Min took charge of the country in 1986 and joined a faction named the Royalists, who he later betrayed and killed every single member of the Royalists to take the throne of Kyrat and turn the country into a dictatorship, leaving the country in a wreck. Here you can see Ajay travelling to Kyrat with a fake passport and his ride is hijacked as Pagan Min knows of his arrival in the country. Right here you can see Pagan spares AJ's life and gets his phone out to take a selfie with AJ, but how does he know AJ? AJ's parents were the leaders of the Kyratese rebellion. So here we have a very complex story and background to Far Cry 4, but I'm confident that they'll be able to pull it off. In fact, in the same interview with executive producer Dan Hay, he mentions that Ubisoft actually sent out a team to that part of the world to get as accurate a feel for the location as they possibly could. And on the team's return, they explained how a lot of amendments were needed and these amendments have been implemented into the game. This makes me think that Ubisoft are investing more than a lot into Far Cry 4 to make it the best it can be, and for that I'm really excited. So tell me what you think in the comment section below. Do you think that this is way too much of a story? Do you think that Ubisoft have bitten off more than they can chew with Far Cry 4? I don't believe so. I believe that after Far Cry 3 that they could definitely make this a doable story. So I hope you enjoyed episode 1 of my new series, Far Cry 4 What We Know So Far, and I hope to see you in episode 2 where we talk about the weapon and combat system. Until then, this is Zacky signing out. The channel Far Cry 4 What We Know So Far. In this series we're going to be looking at the different aspects of Ubisoft's upcoming game Far Cry 4 and all the different elements of it. This will essentially include information on weapons, characters,